Okay guys, so today I tackled some rust on my roof. Unfortunately, I have already done a couple things before I started this video, and I will go over what I did. So first thing I did was use a sand. So this is a sand like little block sponge. You can also actually used that sander and the wheel as well to sand down some of these spots, and it wasn't really bad, but I want to tackle this now because I live in San Diego and it doesn't rain here very often, but as you can see, it's kind of getting cloudy out, and I'm going to eventually be moving to Florida, probably Key West area, where it rains quite often. So I want to tackle this now before I'm in an environment that gets really wet. So first thing you want to do, like I said, is just sand down those areas, and you want to make sure you sand it down as much as you can to where you're seeing the actual metal. All right, and then you want to clean it all off. You can use like dish soap and water in a sprayer. I used alcohol in a sprayer, so that's my little alcohol spray bottle right there. And I used that just to clean off all that residue, all the dust and everything. And then what I just did is, and I'll show you guys how I do it, is I used filler primer. And so far this has been pretty good. It's about $6. And it's a primer, and it's supposed to fill in some of these holes as well, because you can see that hole, and it's a little different level. Not a big deal to me on my roof, but for the price of this, it was a filler and primer all in one. Got it at Home Depot for about $6. I figured, why not? I will try to find this on Amazon and link it below as well. So all you do is shake it, and then you just spray it on that area. And what you're trying to do is build up nice layers, so that way it's all level. And then what you can do afterwards is kind of sand over it, which, as you can see, it's starting to work. Now these aren't too bad. There's a couple areas where I could do another one or two. And again, mine isn't as bad as some people's, and maybe mine is worse than others, and luckily it's not in a bad place for me. And then I made sure I taped off the rubber and a little bit of the windshield, because as you can see right there, I did do a little overspray, right? And now what this is going to do is, again, it's going to prime it to make it so the paint sticks to it. It's a protectant, so now it's that much harder for the rust to come back through. And then it's also to fill in those gaps. Now, if this was somewhere on the body, I think this would be a lot more beneficial. Slash, I would maybe even use some kind of Bondo or putty filler, depending on what kind of body work you're doing. But up here on the roof, you're not going to really, to me, be able to see if this spot isn't level with this spot perfect. Especially, as you can see, these aren't super deep spots anyways to begin with. So I think I'm pretty good there. Now this says to wait a couple minutes in between each coat and use a couple coats to build it up. Obviously you can use more or less. That was probably one of my worst spots right here that was a little uneven. That looks a little uneven right there, but not super bad. Same thing with there. Now as you can see, it says apply 2 or more light coats a few minutes apart. With any kind of spraying, spray paint, primer, doesn't matter what it is, it's better to spray light coats let it dry. I'd rather have 4 light coats to build it up than 2 thick coats. Why is that? Because if you build them up thick, it's going to get runny and it's going to look really bad. But here, it doesn't actually say anywhere that I can see of that it takes 24 hours. It says for best results, allow to dry to 2 to 4 hours before sanding. Dries to the touch in 10 minutes. Clean up wet paint with some mineral spirits. So I'm not really sure how long I'm going to let it sit for. It's Rust-Oleum, so it's supposed to have stuff to kind of stop the rust as well. But again, sand down the rust. Do it the right way. I've learned from my mistakes before where I didn't sand down the rust all the way and I just used like a rust reformer over it, and it doesn't last forever. It does last a long time, but not for as long as if you sanded it down. So next, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to paint it white. I decided to go with a gloss white. I'm hoping that that's going to match. We'll see. This is a paint and primer. I've used this type before, the 2 times Ultra Cover on my RV. I really liked how it the fit and finish came out of it. So I decided to go with the same 2 times Ultra Cover, but in white gloss. And it's good for metal, wood, plastic, and more, as you can see. And it's basically the same thing. You want to make sure everything's dry. Apply light coats to build it up. And I would say the coverage is really good. So even the light coats really is a lot, seems to cover a lot more. So I'm going to let this dry for a couple hours. And then we'll come back and we'll see how it looks, if I need to sand any of it down. And then we'll use that white paint. Alright, so it's the morning, it's early. I gave this primer filler overnight and late afternoon to dry. I just wiped it down with a terry cloth because it was a little wet from the dew out here. But now what I'm going to try is a little sample of the white gloss. See how it looks. Alright, first coat is on. It's not a great match, but not too bad. I need to feather it a little bit more. So on this one, it dries to the touch in 20 minutes. You can actually fully touch it in 1 hour, and it should be fully dried within 24 hours. Apply a second coat or clear coat within 1 hour after 48 hours. So we'll give that some time to dry, and we'll come back for another coat. Alright, so I've done 2 coats on this so far. It started raining, so unfortunately I had to do it real quick. I couldn't videotape it. As you can see, there is water on it, so I'm going to dry it. But this is coat 2, so I don't know if you can really see the difference. But it's blending really well now. What I learned is that the first coat, it really didn't blend very well, but the second coat, I kind of just misted it a little higher away from the truck, and I feathered it in on the sides a little bit bigger than the the primer was, and it looks really good. So I'm gonna do one more on that. I'm gonna dry it, and we'll see how that looks. All right, here's the third coat. There you go. You can see a little bit lighter of a coat, but honestly not bad enough. Not much of a difference. Like I said, it's on the roof. So now it's time for me to hit the rest of these. Remember, I've only done that patch with 3 coats. I just wanted to see how it'd come out. Oh shit. That one wasn't completely dry, as you saw. See if I can fill that one back in. So no reason to keep videotaping. We'll see how that one turns out. But I'm going to cover all this with 3 coats, and then we'll see what it looks like after. Alright, so here is the final product of what it looks like with 3 coats, and it's had a day to dry. That's just some dirt spots. So it's looking really good. So now what I plan to do though is a couple coats of gloss clear coat that I showed you in the beginning, just as one extra protectant. And what I might do is add a little something extra into this rivet and this rivet. So there's an actual material in these, and that's supposed to be what kind of protects everything from you getting leaks and what have you. I do have a little bit of overspray because I didn't blue tape mask this off. That was me being an idiot, but luckily this is easy to get off. Just a little alcohol and a little elbow grease, and that will come right off. So yeah, my thoughts are, don't be afraid to spray paint your roof. I am going to give it a quick one over with a microfiber towel and maybe just a little soap, just to make sure it's all clean. Let it dry, and I'm going to start using a clear coat on it. And once I clear it, we'll come back for a final review and see what it looks like. And there is about 1, 2-ish coats. Again, gloss clear. This is the same stuff I used on my headlights after I sanded them, wet sanded them. I use this on top of them to protect them and so they don't yellow again. And I don't know if you can see it in the pictures or not. man, this stuff does gloss. And this looks good. Holy crap. This looks so good, I might do this on some other parts of my truck. Look at that. That looks awesome. Alright, I don't think I'm going to do any more coats on this. But I have one more thought that I might do. And remember I said I was thinking about doing something for these channels, so I'm going to give this a day to dry. Once this dries, I'm thinking about using some painter tape along these edges, so that way I can just hit this middle, and on this side too, on the outside one. And I'm thinking about either spraying it with Rust-Oleum rubberized truck bedding, just to give it a little bit more protection and help the runoff with the water. Or I've been also thinking about using some black Herculiner, but we'll see. I'm not sure. So let me know what you think. If you found a better way to do this, comment below. If I decide to do that, I'll post it at the very end. But as of right now, job well done.